On a freezing Christmas Eve in Chicago, a bitter 72-year-old billionaire sat alone at table one of her own five-star restaurant. Her adult children had just walked out. Again, after another fight about her will. The untouched prime rib in front of her had gone cold. She'd built a restaurant empire worth $800 million, and she was spending Christmas Eve completely alone. But then, a little black girl in a worn pink dress, no more than 7 years old, walked up to her table holding something crumpled in her small hands. The child's mother, a waitress rushing between tables, didn't even notice her daughter had wandered off. The little girl looked at Victoria with huge brown eyes and whispered, "Miss, you dropped this." She held out Victoria's napkin, which had fallen to the floor. Victoria stared at the child. No one had done something kind for her in years without wanting something in return. "You're crying," the little girl said, matter of fact. "Are you sad? Nobody should cry on Christmas." And then the girl did something that would change 3 lives forever. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a candy cane, and placed it gently on Victoria's table. "Here," Mommy says, "sharing makes everyone feel better." Victoria's hand trembled as she picked up that candy cane. For the first time in 5 years, since the accident that put her in this wheelchair, since her husband died, since her children stopped pretending to care, Victoria felt something crack open inside her chest. What happened next would transform a failing restaurant empire, expose family betrayals, and prove that sometimes the people who save you are the ones you never saw coming. Before we get in, I'd have the best Christmas if you could like and subscribe to the channel. The snow fell heavy over Chicago that Christmas Eve. Michigan Avenue glowed with holiday lights, white, gold, and red strung between buildings like expensive jewelry. Couples walked arm in arm past shop windows. Families laughed, carrying bags stuffed with presents. Car horns honked. A street performer played Silent Night on a violin. Victoria Ashford sat at the window of the Ashford, her flagship restaurant, and watched it all with dead eyes. She was 72 years old. Her white hair was pulled back in a severe bun. She wore a black Chanel suit that cost more than most people made in a month, but it hung loose on her thin frame. Her hands rested on the armrests of her wheelchair, fingers trembling slightly. Not from cold, from anger. "You're being unreasonable, Mother." Victoria turned her head slowly. Her son Richard stood 3 feet away, his face tight with barely controlled frustration. He was 48, tall, with his father's jaw and his mother's calculating eyes. His wife Diane stood behind him, arms crossed, designer heels tapping impatiently on the marble floor. "I'm being unreasonable?" Victoria's voice could cut glass. "You just asked me to sign over 50% of my company so you can modernize the brand." "That's not modernizing. That's a hostile takeover. It's called succession planning," Richard said. "You're not well, Mother. Everyone can see it. You collapsed twice this year. You can barely—" "Barely what?" Victoria's knuckles went white, gripping her armrests. "Say it, Richard. I can barely walk. I can barely run my own company. I can barely deserve to keep what I built." Diane stepped forward, her smile plastic and practiced. "Victoria, we're only thinking of your health. The stress of running 7 restaurants, the board meetings, the decisions, it's too much for someone in your condition." "My condition?" Victoria laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You mean being crippled. You can say the word, Diane. I say it every morning when I wake up in this chair." The accident had been 5 years ago, December 2003. Her husband Thomas had been driving them home from a charity gala. Black ice on Lakeshore Drive. A truck that couldn't stop. The moment of impact that stole her legs and her husband in one terrible instant. 5 years of physical therapy. 5 years learning to accept this wheelchair. 5 years watching her children circle like vultures, waiting for her to die so they could carve up her empire. "We're not trying to hurt you," Richard said, softening his voice. The manipulative tone he used on investors. "We're trying to help. Dad would have wanted us to take care of you. Don't—" Victoria's voice dropped to a whisper. "Dangerous. Don't you dare use your father's memory to manipulate me. Thomas built this with me. Every restaurant, every recipe, every late night we spent in that first kitchen in Pilsen when we had nothing but a dream and a loan we couldn't afford." She looked at Richard, really looked at him. When had her son become this stranger? This man in a $5,000 suit who smelled like expensive cologne and entitlement? "Thomas would be ashamed of you," she said quietly. Richard's face went red. "Ashamed? I'm trying to save our family's legacy. You're the one destroying it with your stubbornness. The restaurants are failing, Mother. Revenue is down 20%. Customer satisfaction scores are dropping. You won't innovate. You won't adapt. You're clinging to some nostalgic version of what the Ashford used to be." "The Ashford used to mean something," Victoria said. "Quality. Heart. Food that made people feel like they were sitting at their grandmother's table. Now you want to turn it into another trendy fusion place with small portions and big prices." "We want to survive," Diane interjected. "Sentimentality doesn't pay the bills, Victoria." Victoria stared at her daughter-in-law. Diane was 42, beautiful in that expensive, maintained way. Botox, personal trainer, a different designer outfit every week. She'd married Richard for his last name and his trust fund, and she'd been angling for control of the company ever since. "Get out," Victoria said. "Mother, get out." Victoria's voice rose. Several diners turned to look. "Both of you, get out of my restaurant. Get out of my sight. And don't come back until you can look at me like I'm your mother instead of an obstacle to your inheritance." Richard's jaw worked. He wanted to argue. Victoria could see the calculations running behind his eyes, but they were in public. Too many witnesses. "Fine," he said tightly. "Merry Christmas, Mother. Enjoy your dinner. Alone. Like always, they left." Victoria sat in the sudden silence, her heart pounding, her hands shaking. Around her the Ashford hummed with Christmas Eve energy. Every table was full. Families, couples, friends raising glasses and laughing. The air smelled like roasted duck and fresh bread and cinnamon. And Victoria was alone at table one, the best seat in the house, with an untouched plate of prime rib going cold in front of her. She reached for her water glass. Her hand trembled. The glass slipped. Water spilled across the white tablecloth. "Damn it," she whispered. A young waitress appeared instantly. "Oh, Mrs. Ashford, let me—" "Just leave it." Victoria's voice came out harsher than she intended. "Bring me the check. I'm leaving." The waitress hesitated, then nodded and hurried away. Victoria looked down at the spilled water soaking into the expensive linen, a perfect metaphor. Everything she touched lately seemed to fall apart. Her phone buzzed. A text from Richard. "You'll regret this. We're not going to watch you destroy Dad's legacy out of pride." Victoria deleted it without responding. She looked around the Ashford. The restaurant she'd opened 25 years ago. The first of 7, her flagship, her pride. But Richard was right about one thing: it was failing. Customer reviews mentioned the food was dated, uninspired, living on past reputation. 3 months ago, a food blogger had written a scathing piece. The Ashford is a beautiful corpse elegant, expensive and utterly lifeless. Victoria had tried to brush it off, but deep down, she knew it was true. She'd lost her passion. After Thomas died, after the accident, she'd just been going through the motions. approving menus without tasting them, hiring chefs based on resumes instead of heart, running her restaurants like a business instead of a calling. The waitress returned with the check. Victoria looked up at her for the first time. The woman was in her mid-30s, black, beautiful, with natural hair pulled back in a neat bun. Her eyes were kind but tired. Really tired. The kind of tired that came from working double shifts and single motherhood and bills that never stopped coming. "Thank you," Victoria said quietly. The waitress smiled. "Of course, Mrs. Ashford. Merry Christmas." Victoria noticed something then. A little girl sitting at the staff table in the corner. 7, maybe 8 years old. Black, with 2 puffs on either side of her head, wearing a pink dress that had seen better days. She was colouring intently, her tongue poking out in concentration. "Your daughter?" Victoria asked. The waitress followed her gaze. Her expression softened. "Yes, ma'am. Lily. Daycare closed early for the holiday, and I couldn't find a sitter. My manager said she could sit back there as long as she's quiet." "How old?" 7. Victoria thought about Richard at 7. He'd been sweet then, always bringing her flowers he'd picked from the neighbour's garden, always wanting to help in the kitchen. When had that changed? "She's beautiful," Victoria said. "Thank you," the waitress smiled, genuine this time. "She's my whole world." Something in the way she said it made Victoria's throat tight. The waitress left. Victoria sat alone with her cold food and her spilled water and the crushing weight of 5 years of loneliness. She pulled out her phone, opened her messages. The last text from her daughter Amanda was from 3 weeks ago. "Can't make Thanksgiving. Busy with the kids. Maybe Christmas?" Victoria had responded, "Of course. I understand." Amanda hadn't replied. Victoria put the phone away. She reached into her purse and pulled out something small and worn. Thomas's wedding ring. She'd carried it every day since the accident. 43. Years of marriage. 43. Years of building something real together. And now she was alone, in a restaurant full of people, on Christmas Eve. The tears came before she could stop them. Hot and sudden, she pressed her napkin to her eyes, trying to hide her face. Pathetic, she thought. A billionaire crying in her own restaurant. How pathetic. That lady is sad. Maya Thompson looked up from the drink order she was putting together. "What, baby?" Lily pointed across the restaurant. "That lady in the wheelchair? She's crying." Maya followed her daughter's gaze to table 1. Mrs. Ashford sat alone, dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. Maya had worked at the Ashford for 6 months, and she'd never seen the owner look so broken. "She probably just has something in her eye, Lily. Now sit down and finish your drawing. I'm almost done with my shift." But nobody should cry on Christmas, Maya sighed. Her daughter had the biggest heart in the world. It was a blessing and a curse. Lily couldn't pass a homeless person without asking Maya if they could help. She cried when she saw sad commercials. She'd once insisted they adopt a 3-legged dog from the shelter because nobody else will want him, Mommy. "Lily, we can't bother the customers, especially not Mrs. Ashford. She owns this place. But—" "Sit down." Lily sat, but Maya could see the wheels turning in her daughter's head. Maya picked up the tray of drinks and headed to table 7. As she walked, she caught her reflection in one of the restaurant's massive mirrors. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. Her uniform, white button-down shirt and black slacks, was clean but worn. She'd bought it at Goodwill 3 months ago when she got this job. Before this, she'd been a line cook at a diner in Englewood. Before that, a prep cook at a catering company. Before that, unemployed while she fought for custody of Lily during the divorce. Marcus, her ex-husband, had tried to take Lily away, claimed Maya was unstable, that she couldn't provide, that working in kitchens wasn't a real career for a mother. The judge had disagreed, barely. Maya got full custody, but with supervised visitation. Marcus got to walk away with his new girlfriend and zero child support because he'd hidden his assets so well the lawyers couldn't find them. That was 2 years ago. Maya was still recovering financially. She delivered the drinks with a smile she didn't feel. "Can I get you anything else?" "Actually, yes." The man at table 7 looked up. "Mid-40s, expensive suit. This wine is corked. Can you bring me something better? Maybe the 2015 Bordeaux?" Maya's smile didn't falter. "Of course. Right away." She took the wine back to the bar. Luis, the bartender, raised an eyebrow. "Corked? He says so. That bottle was fine. He just wants to impress his date with expensive wine. Then he'll get expensive wine." Maya was too tired to argue, too tired to care. Just put it on his bill. As she waited for Luis to open the new bottle, Maya glanced at the clock. 9:47 p.m., 13 minutes until her shift ended. 13 minutes until she could take Lily home to their tiny apartment, make them hot chocolate, and try to salvage Christmas Eve. She'd gotten Lily one present. A used American Girl doll she'd found at a thrift store. It wasn't much, but Lily would love it anyway. Her daughter had never asked for more than Maya could give. Unlike Marcus, who'd wanted everything. The fancy house, the expensive cars, the country club membership. When Maya couldn't give him that lifestyle on her catering salary, he'd found someone who could. His new girlfriend was a lawyer. They lived in Naperville now. Big house, 2-car garage, everything Marcus had always wanted, and Maya had Lily, which meant Maya had everything that mattered. "Here you go." Luis handed her the new bottle. Maya delivered it to table 7. The man barely looked at her. Finally, she walked away before she could say something she'd regret. Back at the staff table, Lily was standing up, her drawing in her hand. "Lily, what did I say? But, Mommy, she's still sad, and I made her a picture. Can I give it to her? Please? It's Christmas." Maya looked at Mrs. Ashford. The old woman was staring out the window now, her face hollow. "Baby, I don't think—" But Lily was already walking across the restaurant, her little pink dress swishing, her drawing held out in front of her like an offering. "Lily, no." Maya started after her, but Antonio, the floor manager, grabbed her arm. "Maya, I need you to check table 12. They say their steaks are overcooked." "My daughter. Now, please, just 1 second." Maya hurried toward Lily. But she was too late. Lily had already reached Mrs. Ashford's table. Victoria was staring out the window, thinking about nothing and everything, when a small voice said, "Excuse me, miss." She turned her head. The little girl from the staff table stood beside her. Up close, Victoria could see her huge brown eyes, her 2 hair puffs tied with pink ribbons, the threadbare dress that had been washed so many times the color had faded. "Yes?" Victoria's voice came out rougher than she intended. The girl didn't flinch. "You drop this." She held out Victoria's napkin, which had fallen to the floor when Victoria was crying. Victoria stared at the napkin, at this child's small hand offering it to her. When was the last time someone had done something for her without expecting anything in return? "Thank you," Victoria said quietly. She took the napkin. The girl didn't leave. She studied Victoria with an intensity that was unnerving. "You're sad," the girl said. "Not a question. A fact." Victoria's first instinct was to deny it, to put up walls. But something about this child's directness stopped her. "Yes," Victoria admitted. "I am sad. Why? It's Christmas. Christmas is supposed to be happy. Sometimes Christmas makes people more sad, Victoria said. When they're missing someone. The girl's face softened with understanding beyond her years. Like my daddy. He doesn't live with us anymore. Mummy says he's busy with his new life. But I think she's sad about it, even though she says she's not. Victoria felt her heart crack a little wider. I'm sorry, sweetheart. It's okay. The girl reached into her pocket and pulled out a candy cane. It was slightly crushed. The wrapper crinkled. Here! Mommy says sharing makes everyone feel better. She placed it gently on Victoria's table. Victoria stared at that candy cane, at this child's offering. This small act of kindness from someone who clearly had so little. Her vision blurred. I made you a picture too, the girl said. She held out a piece of paper. I was drawing Christmas trees, but then I saw you were sad, so I drew this instead. Victoria took the paper with shaking hands. It was a crayon drawing. 2 stick figures holding hands, one tall, one small. Above them, the girl had written in shaky letters, Friends make Christmas good. That's you, the girl pointed to the tall figure. And that's me. Because now we're friends, and friends don't let friends be sad on Christmas. Something broke open inside Victoria's chest. The wall she'd built over 5 years of loneliness and pain. It cracked, and through that crack poured something she hadn't felt in so long she'd forgotten what it was called. Hope. Thank you, Victoria whispered. Her voice shook. This is the nicest gift anyone's given me in a very long time. The girl beamed. What's your name? Victoria, what's yours? Lily, like the flower. Mommy named me that because she says I'm pretty and strong, and I grow even when things are hard. Victoria smiled, really smiled. For the first time in 5 years. Your mummy is very wise. Lily. The waitress appeared, breathless. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Ashford. She wasn't supposed to bother you. Lily, come on, we need to... She's not bothering me, Victoria said quickly. She brought me a gift. She held up the drawing. The waitress looked between Victoria and Lily, confused. Lily, you can't just... It's fine, Victoria said. Really, it's... She looked at the little girl, at the mother trying so hard to be professional despite her obvious exhaustion. It's the best thing that's happened to me all night. The waitress relaxed slightly. Well, thank you for being kind about it. What's your name? Victoria asked. Maya Thompson, and you work here? Yes, ma'am. 6 months now. Waitress, but before that I was a line cook, and before that a prep cook, and... She stopped herself. Sorry, you probably don't need my whole resume. Victoria looked at Maya more carefully. There was something about her, a resilience, a warmth despite the tiredness. Do you enjoy working here? Victoria asked. Maya hesitated. It's a job, it pays the bills. Mostly. But do you enjoy it? Maya glanced at Antonio, who was watching from across the restaurant. I'm grateful for the opportunity, Mrs. Ashford. That wasn't an answer. That was what people said when they were afraid to tell the truth. Victoria was about to press further when Antonio appeared. Maya, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need you. There's a situation in the kitchen. Of course. Maya turned to Lily. Come on, baby, back to your table. But I want to stay with my new friend, Lily protested. Lily, she can stay, Victoria said. The words came out before she'd fully thought them through. If you need to work, she can sit with me. I promise I'll keep an eye on her. Maya looked stunned. Mrs. Ashford, I couldn't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering... Victoria looked at Lily. Would you like to sit with me for a bit? We could talk. Maybe you could tell me about your drawing." Lily's face lit up. "Really?" "Really?" Maya looked torn, but Antonio was already pulling her toward the kitchen. "Maya, now." "Okay." Maya looked at Lily. "You behave. Don't bother Mrs. Ashford. If she tells you to go back to your table, you go. Understood?" "Yes, Mummy." Maya hurried away. Lily climbed into the chair across from Victoria, swinging her legs because they didn't reach the floor. For a moment, they sat in silence. Then Lily said, "Why do you have a wheelchair?" "Lily," Victoria started to deflect, but then she stopped. "Children deserved honesty. I was in a car accident 5 years ago. It hurt my spine, and now I can't walk very well. Does it hurt?" "Sometimes. But I'm used to it now." "My mommy hurts too," Lily said matter-of-factly. "Not on the outside, on the inside. Because my daddy left. She doesn't say it, but I can tell. She cries at night when she thinks I'm asleep." Victoria's heart squeezed. "I'm sorry to hear that. It's okay, we have each other. Mummy says that's all that matters." Lily picked up one of Victoria's untouched dinner rolls. "Can I eat this? I'm hungry. We had sandwiches for dinner, but that was a long time ago." Victoria's stomach turned. This child was hungry. Working mothers shouldn't have to bring their children to work because they couldn't afford childcare. Children shouldn't be eating sandwiches for Christmas Eve dinner. "Yes," Victoria said. "Eat whatever you'd like." Lily took a bite. Her eyes went wide. "This is really good. Would you like something else? Some chicken? Pasta? Can I have chicken fingers?" Victoria looked around for a server. She caught the eye of Jeremy, one of the veteran waiters. He hurried over. "Mrs. Ashford? Chicken fingers for my friend here, and what would you like to drink, Lily? Chocolate milk?" "Chocolate milk and chicken fingers. And bring some of the Christmas cookies from the dessert menu." "Right away, ma'am." As Jeremy left, Lily said, "You're really nice. Are you a grandma?" Victoria's breath caught. "I am, but my grandchildren don't visit very often." "Why not?" "That's complicated." "Adults always say that when they don't want to answer," Lily said wisely. Victoria found herself laughing. Actually laughing. "You're absolutely right. They talked while waiting for the food." Lily told Victoria about school, about her best friend Zara, about how she wanted to be a chef when she grew up just like Mommy. "Your mother is a chef?" Victoria asked. "She used to be, before the divorce. Now she's a waitress, but she still cooks at home. The best food ever. Better than anywhere." "What kind of food?" "Everything. Soul food, fancy food, any food. She makes this macaroni and cheese that's—" Lily kissed her fingers like a chef. "Perfect!" Victoria smiled. "She sounds talented." "She is, but nobody knows except me." The food arrived. Lily ate her chicken fingers with the enthusiasm only a 7-year-old could muster. Between bites, she kept talking, and Victoria found herself engaged in a way she hadn't been in years. This child, this stranger, was giving her something her own family couldn't. Genuine connection. When Maya finally returned, she found Lily and Victoria deep in conversation about why cats were better than dogs, Lily's position, versus why both were equally wonderful. Victoria's diplomatic response. "Lily, it's time to go," Maya said gently. "Already?" Lily's face fell. "Already?" Maya looked at Victoria. "Thank you for keeping an eye on her, Mrs. Ashford. I hope she wasn't too much trouble." "No trouble at all." Victoria looked at Lily. She was delightful company. Lily threw her arms around Victoria's neck in an impulsive hug. "Thank you for being my friend. Merry Christmas." Victoria held her, breathing in the smell of child shampoo and innocence. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. As Maya and Lily walked away, Victoria looked down at the drawing still on her table. Friends make Christmas good. For the first time in 5 years, Victoria didn't feel quite so alone. Victoria didn't go home that night after Maya and Lily left. Victoria sat at table 1 for another hour, staring at the drawing. The restaurant emptied slowly. Families paid their bills and bundled up against the Chicago cold. Couples held hands as they walked to the door. The Christmas lights on Michigan Avenue blinked through the windows. Antonio approached her table. "Mrs. Ashford, we're closing soon. Can I get you anything else?" "No. Thank you, Antonio." Victoria folded the drawing carefully and placed it in her purse. "Actually, yes. I need you to pull Maya Thompson's file for me." Antonio's eyebrows rose. "Maya's file. Is there a problem?" "No problem. I just want to review it." "Of course. I'll have it sent to your office." "Tonight, Antonio. I want it tonight." He hesitated, then nodded. "I'll bring it to you in 20 minutes. Victoria wheeled herself through the restaurant toward her private office in the back. She rarely used it anymore. Most days she worked from home, calling in orders and approving menus over email. Coming to the restaurant had become painful. Every corner held memories of Thomas, the kitchen where they'd worked side by side, the dining room where they'd celebrated their first 5-star review, the small office where they'd stayed up until 3 a.m. doing paperwork and dreaming about expansion. Now the office felt sterile, cold, like everything else in her life. She turned on the lights and wheeled to the desk. While she waited for Antonio, she opened her laptop and pulled up the Ashfords' financial reports. The numbers were worse than she'd admitted to Richard. Revenue down 23% over the past year. Customer reviews averaging 3.2 stars when they used to be 4 to 8. 3 of her 7 restaurants were operating at a loss. The flagship, this building, was bleeding money. Victoria knew why. The food had no soul anymore. She'd hired chefs based on their credentials, Culinary Institute of America graduates, people who'd worked at Michelin-starred restaurants in New York and San Francisco. Technical perfection, zero heart. The irony wasn't lost on her. She'd spent her whole life fighting against people who judged her for not having the right background, and now she was doing the same thing. A knock on the door. "Come in." Antonio entered with a manila folder. "Maya's file." "Thank you." Victoria took it. "That's all when he left." Victoria opened the folder. "Name, Maya Thompson." "That's all when he left. But for Victoria's employment, waitress hired, Premier Catering Company, prep cook, taste of home catering, assistant chef." Victoria's eyes stopped on that last one. Assistant chef. Maya had been an assistant chef, she kept reading. References? Excellent, one former employer had written. "Maya is the most talented cook I've worked with in 20 years. Her instincts in the kitchen are remarkable. She understands flavor on a molecular level, how ingredients interact, how to balance and enhance. She could run her own restaurant if given the opportunity." Victoria sat back, a talented chef working as a waitress. Why? She found the answer in Maya's application notes. Reason for leaving previous position. Company downsized due to COVID. Position eliminated. Reason for current position. Deed, flexible hours for single motherhood. Childcare constraints. Waitressing allows evening shifts when daughter is asleep or can be supervised. Victoria's jaw tightened. Maya was overqualified and underpaid because the system made it impossible for single mothers to pursue careers that required unpredictable hours. She kept reading. At the bottom of the file was a photocopy of a reference letter from someone named Gerald Morrison, owner of Taste of Home Catering. To mid-May concern, I had the privilege of working with Maya Thompson for 3 years. In that time, I watched her transform from a prep cook to one of the finest chefs I've ever trained. Maya has a gift. She cooks with her heart, not just her hands. Every dish she creates tells a story. She understands that food is about more than sustenance. It's about connection, memory, love. When we catered the Johnson wedding, the bride's grandmother, a woman who'd barely eaten in weeks due to illness, tasted Maya's peach cobbler and cried. She said it tasted exactly like her own mother's recipe from 50 years ago. Maya had never met the woman's mother. She'd simply listened to the bride's stories and recreated a memory through food. That's Maya's gift. She sees people, she understands what they need, and she gives it to them through her cooking. Any restaurant would be lucky to have her. I only let her go because my business couldn't survive the pandemic. It's one of my greatest regrets. Victoria read the letter 3 times. Then she closed the folder and sat in silence. Outside her office, she could hear the kitchen staff cleaning up, the clang of pots, the hiss of industrial dishwashers, the tired voices of people who'd worked a double shift on Christmas Eve. Victoria picked up her phone and called Antonio. "Yes, Mrs. Ashford. Is Maya still here? Tell her to wait. I need to speak with her." "Now?" "Mrs. Ashford, it's almost 11. "Now, Antonio." She hung up. Victoria wheeled out of her office and toward the kitchen. She rarely went back there anymore. It hurt too much. But tonight, she pushed through the swinging doors. The kitchen was massive, stainless steel everywhere, 6 burner ranges, 2 industrial ovens, a prep station that could handle 50 orders at once. Everything state-of-the-art, everything expensive, everything soulless. The kitchen staff was cleaning up. They all stopped when they saw Victoria. "Mrs. Ashford?" Chef Robert said, surprised. He was the Ashfords' head chef, a CIA graduate with 15 years of experience at high-end restaurants. Technically brilliant. Personally cold. "Is everything all right?" "Fine. Continue your work." They did, but Victoria could feel their eyes on her as she wheeled toward the back staff area. Maya was there with Lily, putting on their coats. Lily's coat was too small. The sleeves stopped above her wrists. Maya's coat had a broken zipper held together with a safety pin. "Mrs. Ashford?" Maya looked surprised. "Antonio said you wanted to see me." "Yes." Victoria gestured to the small break room. "Can we talk? Privately?" Maya glanced at Lily, then nodded. "Lily, baby, sit right here. I'll be 2 minutes." "Okay, Mommy." Victoria and Maya went into the break room. It was cramped. A table, 4 chairs, a coffee maker, and a vending machine that had been broken for 3 months. Victoria got straight to the point. "I read your file." Maya's face went carefully neutral. "Okay. You're a chef." "I was. Now I'm a waitress." "Why?" Maya's jaw tightened. "Because waitressing lets me work nights when Lily's asleep. Cooking jobs require mornings, evenings, weekends, unpredictable hours. I have a 7-year-old daughter and no childcare. So I waitress." "You're wasting your talent." Maya's eyes flashed. "I'm keeping my daughter fed and safe. That's not a waste. I didn't mean—" Victoria stopped, took a breath. "I apologize. That came out wrong. I meant you could be doing so much more. With all due respect, Mrs. Ashford, you don't know my life." "You're right. I don't—" Victoria met her eyes. "But I know talent when I see it, and I know what it's like to be told you're not good enough because of circumstances beyond your control." Maya was quiet for a moment. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want to offer you a job." Maya blinked. "I already have a job. Here. Not as a waitress. As a chef. The air between them went still. "What?" Maya's voice was barely a whisper. "I want you to cook for me. One meal. Tomorrow. Christmas Day. Come to my home, use my kitchen, and make me dinner. Whatever you want. Show me what you can do." "Mrs. Ashford, I don't understand. My restaurants are failing," Victoria said bluntly. "The food is technically perfect and completely forgettable. I've lost what made the Ashford special. I need someone who can bring it back. Someone who cooks with heart, not just technique. And you think that's me? Based on what? A reference letter from 3 years ago? Based on your daughter." Victoria's voice softened. "Lily told me you're the best cook she knows, that your food is better than anywhere. Children don't lie about things like that." Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Mrs. Ashford, I appreciate this. Really, but I can't. I have to work tomorrow night double shift because it's Christmas and the pay is time and a half. I need that money. I'll pay you $500 for the meal." Maya's mouth fell open. "What? $500? Cash. Tomorrow evening. Cook me dinner, and I'll pay you $500. That's insane. That's business." Victoria leaned forward. "Maya, I'm not doing this out of charity. I'm doing this because I'm desperate. My empire is crumbling. My family wants to push me out. My restaurants have lost their soul. If you're as talented as your references say, you could be the answer I've been looking for. And if I'm not, then you walk away with $500 and I keep searching." Maya stared at her. Victoria could see the calculations running behind her eyes. The practicality warring with pride. The need warring with fear. "I'd need to bring Lily," Maya said finally. "Of course. And I'd need you to cover my lost wages from missing tomorrow's shift. That's another $150. Victoria smiled. This woman knew her worth. Deal. $650 total. Maya took a deep breath. "Okay, yes, I'll do it." "Good." Victoria pulled out her phone. "Give me your number. I'll text you my address." She turned back. "Don't overthink it," Victoria said. "Don't try to impress me with fancy techniques or complicated presentations. Just cook. Cook the way you do for Lily. Cook with your heart." Maya nodded slowly. "Okay, I can do that." After they left, Victoria sat alone in the break room. For the first time in 5 years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Excitement. Christmas morning arrived cold and grey. Victoria woke at 6 a.m., not because she wanted to, but because her body hurt. 5 years in a wheelchair had taught her that some pain was constant. You just learn to live with it. She took her medications, did her physical therapy exercises, made coffee, stared out the window of her penthouse at Lake Michigan, grey and churning under a grey sky. Chicago looked dead on Christmas morning. The streets were empty. Even Michigan Avenue, usually buzzing with tourists and shoppers, was quiet. Most people were home with their families, opening presents, making breakfast, being together. Victoria was alone. She thought about calling James, her other son, the one who lived in Seattle. But what was the point? He'd answer out of obligation, ask how she was feeling, make an excuse about why he couldn't visit, and hang up as quickly as possible. Her daughter Amanda was even worse. She'd stopped pretending to care 2 years ago. 3 children. Victoria had 3 children, and not one of them would be with her today. No, that wasn't fair. They'd tried, especially after Thomas died. They'd visited the hospital after her accident. They'd offered to help with the company. They'd done the things children were supposed to do. But Victoria had pushed them away. She'd been drowning in grief and pain, and instead of reaching for her children's hands, she'd lashed out, blamed them for not being Thomas, accused them of hovering, insisted she didn't need help. By the time she realized she did need help, they were gone. Not physically, they still called, still sent birthday cards, but emotionally. The distance had grown too wide to cross, except for Richard. He still came around, but not because he loved her, because he wanted the company. Victoria's phone rang. "Speaking of the devil, Merry Christmas, Mother." Richard's voice was tight. Angry. "Merry Christmas," Victoria said cautiously. "I heard something interesting from Antonio this morning." Victoria's stomach dropped. Antonio had a big mouth. "You offered Maya Thompson a job," Richard continued. "A cooking job. $650 for one meal. Care to explain?" "I don't need to explain my business decisions to you, Richard. When you're making decisions that affect the company's reputation, yes, you do. Mother, this woman is a waitress. She has no formal training. She's been a chef for over a decade, at diners and catering companies. Not fine dining. You're going to humiliate yourself and damage the Ashfords' brand by associating with—" "Stop." Victoria's voice went cold. "Finish that sentence and we're done talking." Silence. "I'm going to say this once," Victoria continued. "What I do with my money and my restaurants is my business, not yours. Not until I'm dead. So unless you want that day to come sooner than expected, I suggest you back off. You're making a mistake. Then it's my mistake to make. The board won't stand for this. The board works for me. For now." Richard's voice dropped. "But not forever. Keep making reckless decisions, and they'll vote you out. They're already talking about it, Mother, about incompetence, about diminished capacity, about whether you're still fit to run the company." Victoria's hand tightened on the phone. "Who's leading that conversation, Richard? You? I'm trying to protect our family's legacy. You're trying to stage a coup." "I'm trying to save us from your pride." His voice rose. "You can't accept that you're not the woman you used to be. You're 72, you're disabled, and you're making emotional decisions based on a child giving you a candy cane. It's pathetic, Mother. Dad would be embarrassed." Victoria's vision went white with rage. "Get out," she whispered. "What? Get out of my company, out of my life. You're fired, Richard. Effective immediately." "You can't fire me." "I can, and I just did. You're no longer on the Ashfords' board. Your salary is terminated. Your benefits are revoked. You want the company so badly. You can wait until I'm dead like everyone else." "Mother." Victoria hung up. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was pounding. She could feel her blood pressure spiking. Dangerous for someone with her medical history. She took deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth, the way her therapist had taught her. Slowly the rage subsided into something worse. Grief. Her son. Her firstborn. The little boy who used to climb into her lap and beg for bedtime stories. The teenager who'd worked summers at the first Ashford location, washing dishes and learning the business from the ground up. When had he become this stranger? This man who looked at her like an obstacle instead of his mother? Victoria's phone buzzed. A text from Diane. "You can't fire Richard. The board will overturn it. Stop being stubborn and think about your family." Victoria deleted it. Another text, this time from Amanda. "Mom," Richard called me. "What's going on? Why are you firing him? This is crazy. You're acting irrational." Victoria stared at that word. Irrational? Was she? Offering Maya a chance irrational? Was believing in someone's talent based on a child's love and a reference letter irrational? Or was it the only rational thing she'd done in 5 years? She didn't know anymore. Victoria wheeled to her bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. Really looked. 72 years old, white hair, wrinkles, hands that shook. A body that had betrayed her, but her eyes were still sharp, still determined. "I'm not done yet," she thought. "I'm not dead yet." She picked up her phone and texted Maya. "Still on for tonight. 6 p.m. The response came immediately, yes. Victoria smiled. Let Richard and Diane and the board think what they wanted. Let them call her irrational. Let them plot their coup. She'd spent 50 years building the Ashford from nothing. She wasn't going to hand it over to people who saw it as just money. Tonight, she'd find out if Maya Thompson was the answer she'd been looking for. And if she was, Richard and his ambitions could go straight to hell. Victoria spent the afternoon preparing her penthouse. She hadn't cooked in 5 years. The kitchen, state-of-the-art, designed by Thomas himself, had sat unused except for the housekeeper who came twice a week to clean. Now Victoria wheeled herself around, checking inventory. The pantry was well stocked. Her housekeeper kept it that way, even though Victoria rarely ate at home. Spices, oils, vinegars, everything a professional kitchen needed. The refrigerator was less impressive. Some vegetables past their prime. Eggs, milk, not much else. Victoria made a list and called her assistant Margaret. "Mrs. Ashford, is everything all right?" "I need groceries delivered. Today, within the next 2 hours. Today? It's Christmas." "I know what day it is, Margaret. I need fresh vegetables, proteins, whatever a chef might need to cook a full dinner, spare no expense. Can you arrange it?" Yes. I'll call the specialty grocer. They have a holiday emergency service." "Good. Thank you. Mrs. Ashford, if you don't mind my asking, are you having guests for dinner?" Victoria hesitated. "Yes. 2. A mother and daughter. That's wonderful." Margaret sounded genuinely pleased. "I'm so glad you won't be alone today. 5 years and 3 months ago, the night before the accident, she and Thomas had been preparing a private dinner for their anniversary. Nothing fancy, just the two of them, the way it used to be before the Ashford became an empire. Before the 7 locations and the staff of 300 and the board meetings that never ended, they'd made Thomas's grandmother's lasagna recipe. Layers of pasta, ricotta, meat sauce that had simmered for hours. They drunk cheap wine, the same kind they'd had at their wedding 43 years earlier. They'd laughed, danced in the kitchen to old jazz records. It had been perfect. The next night, Thomas was dead. Victoria hadn't been able to enter the kitchen for months after. The grief was too heavy, the memories too painful. But now, sitting here in the afternoon light, Victoria felt something different. Not just grief. Also, gratitude. She'd had 43 years with Thomas. 43 years of love and partnership and building something real together. Not everyone got that. Not everyone got even 1 year of what they'd had. The doorbell rang. Victoria wheeled to the door and opened it. A delivery man stood there with 8 bags of groceries. "Mrs. Ashford, Merry Christmas. Where would you like these?" "Kitchen, please." He brought them in, refused a tip, and left. Victoria started unpacking. Fresh vegetables, a whole chicken, prime beef, fish, everything a chef could want. As she worked, she realized something. She was excited. For the first time in 5 years, she was actually looking forward to something. Not a business meeting, not a quarterly report, not another dinner alone in an expensive restaurant. This, a meal cooked by someone she believed in. A child's laughter filling her empty penthouse. Connection. Maybe Richard was right. Maybe she was being irrational. But irrational had to be better than what she'd been. A living ghost going through the motions, waiting to die. At 5:45 p.m., Victoria's doorbell rang again. She wheeled to the door and opened it. Maya stood there in jeans and a simple green sweater, her natural hair down around her shoulders. She held a canvas bag in one hand. Lily stood beside her in a red Christmas dress, new, from the stiffness of the fabric. Maya must have spent money she didn't have to make sure her daughter looked nice. "Hi," Maya said, looking nervous. "We're not too early, are we?" "You're perfect," Victoria smiled at Lily. Hello, my friend. Merry Christmas. Lily beamed. Merry Christmas. I like your house. It's really tall. Come in, please. They stepped inside. Maya's eyes went wide as she took in the penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. Original art on the walls. Furniture that cost more than most people's cars. Mrs. Ashford, this is too much. Victoria smiled. Thomas thought so too. He wanted something smaller, but I insisted. I always had to have the best. She led them to the kitchen. Maya stopped in the doorway. Oh my God, she whispered. The kitchen was a chef's dream. Viking range, sub-zero refrigerator, marble countertops. Every tool and gadget imaginable. This is... Maya walked in slowly, running her hand along the counter. This is incredible. It's yours for the evening. Victoria gestured to the groceries. I had some things delivered, but if you need anything else, let me know. Maya looked at the ingredients. Victoria watched her face change, from nervous to focused. This was a woman in her element. Okay, Maya said quietly. Okay, I can work with this. What will you make? A surprise. Maya looked at her. You said to cook from the heart. Trust me. Victoria smiled. I trust you. Lily tugged on Victoria's sleeve. Can I help you set the table? Mommy taught me how. I'd love that. While Maya began prepping in the kitchen, Victoria and Lily went to the dining room. Victoria hadn't used it in 5 years. She usually ate at the kitchen counter when she bothered to eat at home at all. But now she pulled out her good china. The plates Thomas had bought her for their 30th anniversary. Crystal glasses, silver flatware. Wow, Lily breathed. These are so pretty. They are, aren't they? My husband gave them to me. Where is he? He passed away. 5 years ago. Lily looked at her with those 2 old eyes. So you're sad like Mommy? Yes, I suppose I am. Mommy says it's okay to be sad. But you can't stay sad forever because then you miss all the good things. Victoria's throat tightened. Your mommy is very wise. They set the table together. Lily was meticulous, making sure every fork was in the right place, every napkin folded properly. My mommy taught me, she said proudly. She says, if you're going to do something, you should do it right. From the kitchen came the sound of sizzling and the smell of garlic and herbs. Victoria's stomach actually growled. She couldn't remember the last time she'd been hungry. Can I ask you something? Lily said suddenly. Of course. Why don't your kids visit you? Victoria went still. How do you know they don't? Because your house is sad. Houses are sad when people don't visit. Our apartment used to be sad after Daddy left. But then Mommy started singing and it got happier. Out of the mouths of babes. My children are very busy, Victoria said carefully. They have their own lives, but you're their mommy. Mommies are important. Yes, they are. Lily studied her. Then she climbed into Victoria's lap. Just climbed right up like it was the most natural thing in the world. You can borrow me, she said matter-of-factly. When you're lonely, I'm good at making people not lonely. Victoria wrapped her arms around this child and felt something break open inside her chest. When was the last time someone had hugged her? Really hugged her, not the obligatory squeeze at the end of an awkward visit. She couldn't remember. Thank you, Victoria whispered. That's the kindest offer I've ever received. They sat like that for a moment. Then Maya appeared in the doorway. Dinner's ready, she said softly. Her eyes were wet. She'd heard the whole thing. The meal Maya served was extraordinary. Not in the way of the Ashfords' current menu, technically perfect, but soulless. This was something else entirely. She'd made roasted chicken with herbs and lemon, The skin was perfectly crispy, the meat tender and juicy, but it was the seasoning that made Victoria close her eyes on the first bite. It tasted like home, like comfort, like someone's grandmother's kitchen on Sunday afternoon. Sides of roasted vegetables, carrots, Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, caramelized and seasoned with something Victoria couldn't identify, but desperately wanted more of. Fresh biscuits that were fluffy and buttery and made Victoria want to cry. And a pan sauce. Dear God, the pan sauce. It was rich and complex and perfectly balanced, tying everything together. "Maya," Victoria said after her third bite. "This is remarkable." Maya was watching her nervously from across the table. "Really? It's not too simple?" "I know it's not fancy. It's perfect." Victoria met her eyes. "Do you know what fine dining has forgotten? It's forgotten that food should make you feel something. This makes me feel safe, cared for, like I'm not alone." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "That's what I was going for. You succeeded." They ate in comfortable silence. Lily chattered between bites about school, about her friends, about how this was the best Christmas ever because they got to eat in a castle, her word for the penthouse. Victoria watched Maya. The way she cut Lily's chicken into small pieces without being asked. The way she made sure her daughter ate vegetables before having more biscuits. The way she caught Victoria's eye and smiled. A real smile, not the careful, professional one from the restaurant. This was a woman who'd been beaten down by life but hadn't let it break her spirit. "Tell me about your cooking," Victoria said. "How did you learn?" Maya took a sip of water. "My grandmother. She raised me after my parents died. Car accident when I was 8. Grandma Lucy didn't have much money, but she could make anything taste incredible. She taught me that cooking is about love. You put your heart into the food, and people can taste it." She was right. She died when I was 19. I was going to culinary school, but I had to drop out to work. Bills, you know. But I kept cooking, worked my way up from prep cook to line cook to assistant chef. Maya's expression darkened. "Then I met Marcus." "Your ex-husband?" "Yeah. He didn't like that I was a chef. Said the hours were too long. The money wasn't good enough. I needed a real career. I tried to make him happy. Took a catering job with better hours. But it wasn't enough. Nothing was ever enough." She looked at Lily, who was obliviously eating her carrots. "Then I got pregnant, and he really hated it. Said I was trapped him. When Lily was 2, he filed for divorce and tried to take custody." Victoria's jaw tightened. "He failed, barely." The judge saw through his bees. "But the custody battle cleaned me out financially. All my savings, gone. I couldn't afford daycare on a chef's salary with the hours they demanded. So I took whatever jobs I could find that let me work around Lily's schedule." Maya smiled sadly. "Turns out there aren't many of those." "That's going to change," Victoria said. Maya looked up sharply. "What?" "I want to offer you a position, a real one, head chef at the Ashford." The silence that followed was deafening. "Mrs. Ashford," Maya said slowly, That's insane. That's the second time someone's told me that this week. I'm starting to think insane is my new brand. I don't have the experience. You have exactly the experience I need. You understand what the Ashford has lost. You cook with heart. That's worth more than any degree. But the staff won't respect me. I'm a waitress. I don't have credentials. Then you'll earn their respect by being brilliant." Victoria leaned forward. "Maya, I'm going to be honest with you. My restaurants are failing. My family wants to push me out. I'm running out of time and options. You might be my last chance to save what Thomas and I built. That's a lot of pressure. Yes, it is. But I believe you can handle it. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Lily had stopped eating and was watching her mother with big eyes. What's the salary? Maya asked finally. $85,000 a year to start. Full benefits, health insurance for you and Lily, flexible hours, we'll work around your childcare needs, and I'll cover the cost of Lily's after-school program. Maya's hand shook as she set down her fork. $85,000? You'll earn every penny. Being head chef at the Ashford isn't easy, but I think you can do it. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Maya looked at Lily, then at Victoria, then back at her daughter. Can I think about it? Victoria's heart sank, but she nodded. Of course. Take all the time you need. What if Maya said no? What if Victoria had read this all wrong? What if she was just a desperate old woman grasping at straws? Lily suddenly spoke up. Mummy, you should say yes. Baby, this is grown-up stuff. But you always say when someone believes in you, you should believe in yourself too. Mrs. Victoria believes in you, so you should do it. I was born smart. You always tell me that. Maya looked at Victoria. Okay, yes, I'll do it. Victoria felt like she could breathe again. Really? Really. But I have conditions. Name them. I want creative control over the menu. Complete control. Done. I want to hire my own sous chef. Someone I trust, and I want Fridays off. No matter what. That's Lily's and my day. Victoria smiled. Done. Anything else? Just one thing. Maya's voice got quiet. Don't make me regret this. Please. I'm trusting you with my daughter's future. Don't let me down. I won't, Victoria promised. You have my word. They shook hands across the table, and for the first time in 5 years, Victoria Ashford felt like she might actually have a future worth fighting for. The day after Christmas, Victoria called an emergency board meeting. She knew it was risky. Richard would be there. She couldn't actually fire him from the board without a vote, and he knew it. He'd show up ready for a fight. But Victoria was ready too. The meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. at Morrison Industries headquarters, a glass and steel building in the Loop that housed the corporate offices for all 7 Ashford restaurants. Victoria rarely came here anymore. Too many memories, too many reminders of what she'd built and what she was losing. Margaret met her in the lobby. Mrs. Ashford, are you sure about this? Richard's been calling board members all morning. He's building a coalition. Let him... Victoria wheeled toward the elevator. I'm not backing down. He's brought lawyers. That made Victoria pause. Lawyers? He's going to challenge your competency. He has a doctor who'll testify that your medications affect your judgment. Victoria's blood went cold. What doctor? Dr. Patterson. Your neurologist. Patterson would never. But even as she said it, Victoria knew Richard could be very persuasive, especially with money. There's more, Margaret said quietly as they entered the elevator. Diane leaked the story to the Tribune. There's going to be an article tomorrow about concerns regarding Victoria Ashford's fitness to lead her restaurant empire. They have quotes from anonymous board members. Victoria closed her eyes. Of course. Richard wasn't just coming for her position. He was coming for her reputation. Do we have any allies on the board? Victoria asked. 3 solid votes. Marcus Chen, Patricia Okoye, and David Walsh. They remember what you built. They're loyal. That's 3 out of 9. I need 5. I know. The elevator opened on the 15th floor. The boardroom was at the end of a long hallway. Glass walls, expensive furniture, a view of Lake Michigan that cost more than most people's houses. Victoria wheeled down that hallway feeling like she was heading to her own execution. She was right. Inside the boardroom, 8 people sat around a massive table. Richard at the head, looking smug. Diane beside him, perfectly coiffed and ready for battle. The other board members looked uncomfortable. They knew what was coming. "Mother," Richard said, "so glad you could join us." Victoria wheeled to her usual spot at the opposite end of the table. Margaret took the seat beside her. "Let's get started," Victoria said. "I called this meeting to discuss—" "Before we begin," Richard interrupted, "I'd like to introduce someone. Dr. Gerald Patterson, Mrs. Ashford's neurologist." An older man in a suit stood up from the corner of the room. Victoria's heart sank. Patterson had been treating her since the accident. She trusted him. "Dr. Patterson," Richard said smoothly, "would you please share your professional opinion regarding my mother's current mental state?" Patterson looked uncomfortable. "Mrs. Ashford has been my patient for 5 years. She's on several medications for pain management, anxiety, and depression. These medications can affect cognitive function, particularly decision-making and impulse control. In your professional opinion," Richard pressed, "is my mother currently fit to make major business decisions?" Patterson hesitated. "I can't make that determination without a formal evaluation. But you have concerns." "I have questions about whether the stress of running a major corporation is in her best interest, given her medical condition." Victoria's hands gripped her armrests. "Dr. Patterson, are you seriously suggesting I'm incompetent?" "Not incompetent, Mrs. Ashford. I'm suggesting that your judgment may be impaired by a combination of grief, pain, and medication." "Based on what evidence?" Richard leaned forward. "Based on the fact that 2 days ago you offered a waitress with no formal culinary training a position as head chef at our flagship restaurant. You're paying her $85,000 a year, and you made this decision after a single meal." The room went silent. "Is this true?" Marcus Chen asked. He was 68, Taiwanese-American, one of Thomas's oldest friends. "Victoria, did you really offer a waitress?" "I offered a talented chef an opportunity." Victoria cut him off. "Maya Thompson has over a decade of culinary experience. She's worked as a line cook, prep cook, and assistant chef. She has exceptional references. And yes, I made the offer after tasting her food." "1 meal," Diane said incredulously. "You're basing an $85,000 hiring decision on 1 meal. I'm basing it on talent, instinct, and the fact that the Ashford desperately needs someone who understands what we've lost." "What we've lost is money," Richard said sharply. "Revenue is down 23%. 3 of our 7 locations are operating at a loss. We're hemorrhaging customers. And your solution is to hire an unqualified waitress." "She's not unqualified. She doesn't have a degree from the Culinary Institute. She's never worked at a Michelin-starred restaurant. She's never managed a kitchen staff. By any objective measure, she's unqualified." Patricia Okoye spoke up. She was 55, black, former restaurant owner herself. "Victoria, help me understand. What makes this woman special? What did she cook that convinced you?" Victoria took a deep breath. "Roasted chicken. Vegetables. Biscuits. Nothing complicated. Nothing trendy. Just food that made me feel something. Food that reminded me why Thomas and I started the Ashford in the first place." "Feelings," Richard said, mockingly. "You're making a hiring decision based on feelings." "I'm making a decision based on instinct. The same instinct that built this company. No, Mother. You and Dad built this company with hard work, smart decisions, and objective analysis. Not feelings. Not impulse. You're not thinking clearly." David Walsh cleared his throat. He was the youngest board member, 45, former investment banker. I have to agree with Richard. This seems reckless. We're in a precarious financial position. We can't afford mistakes. Hiring Maya isn't a mistake, Victoria said. How do you know? Diane asked. You've spent 2 hours with her total. You know nothing about her work ethic, her ability to handle pressure, her management skills. I know she's a single mother who's fought for everything she has. I know she's been rejected and overlooked because she doesn't have the right credentials. I know she cooks with her heart, not just her hands. That's enough. That's not enough, Richard said. That's emotional thinking. That's exactly what Dr. Patterson is concerned about. Victoria turned to Patterson. Tell me something. When you make medical decisions, do you only look at lab results and scans, or do you also trust your instincts about patients? Patterson shifted uncomfortably. Both. Then why can't I do the same in my business? Because medicine isn't failing, Richard interjected. Your business is. You don't have the luxury of trusting your instincts anymore. Marcus Chen spoke up. I'd like to propose a compromise. Everyone turned to him. Let's test her, Marcus continued. This Maya Thompson, let's give her a real trial. Not just one private meal, but a public test. If she's as talented as Victoria believes, she'll prove it. What kind of test? Victoria asked. New Year's Eve, 5 days from now. The Ashford is fully booked. We have 200 reservations. Let Maya Thompson create and execute a special New Year's menu. If the customers love it, if the reviews are positive, if she proves she can handle the pressure, then we approve the hire. If she fails... Marcus looked at Victoria. Then you step down and let Richard take over operations. Victoria's heart stopped. Marcus, it's fair, he said gently. You're asking us to trust your judgment. We're asking you to prove it's sound. One night, high stakes. Let her show us what she can do. Richard was smiling. I think that's an excellent idea. Of course he did. He thought Maya would fail. He thought this would be the final nail in Victoria's coffin. Mrs. Ashford, Patricia said quietly, Marcus is offering you a way out of this. A way to prove you're right without losing everything if you're wrong. I think you should take it. Victoria looked around the table, every face watching her, waiting for her decision. If she agreed and Maya failed, Richard would take over. The Ashford would become just another trendy restaurant with no soul. Everything she and Thomas had built would be erased. But if she refused, the board would vote her out right now. She could see it in their faces. They were looking for a reason to side with Richard, and she'd just given them one by hiring Maya impulsively. Fine, Victoria said. New Year's Eve. Maya will create a special menu. If it's successful, she's confirmed as head chef and this board backs off. If it fails... She took a breath. I stepped down as CEO. Richard's smile widened. Agreed. All in favor? Marcus asked. 8 hands went up. Only Victoria's stayed down. Motion passes, Marcus said. Mrs. Ashford, you have 5 days. Victoria called Maya from the car. Hello. Maya sounded out of breath. It's Victoria. Are you busy? Just got off my shift at the restaurant. What's wrong? You sound upset. I need to see you. Today, can you come to the Ashford's main kitchen? Bring Lily if you need to... Victoria, what happened? I'll explain when you get here. Please, it's important. An hour later, Maya arrived with Lily. Victoria was waiting in the Ashford's massive kitchen, empty now except for a few prep cooks working on tomorrow's specials. Mrs. Ashford? Maya looked worried. What's going on? Victoria gestured to the office. Let's talk privately. Lily, sweetheart, would you like to color in the dining room? We have crayons. Okay. Lily skipped off happily. In the office, Victoria closed the door and told Maya everything. The board meeting, Richard's accusations, Dr. Patterson's testimony. The test. Maya's face went pale. New Year's Eve? That's in 5 days. I know. 200 covers? Yes. Victoria, Maya ran her hands through her hair. That's insane. I've never cooked for 200 people at once. I've never created a full menu from scratch. I know I'm asking the impossible, Victoria interrupted. But I wouldn't ask if I didn't believe you could do it. What if I can't? What if I fail? You'll lose everything. Then I lose everything. But at least I'll lose it fighting for something I believe in. Victoria wheeled closer. Maya, I've spent 5 years playing it safe, being careful, making decisions based on what other people think I should do, and it's gotten me nowhere except broke and alone. I'm done with that. I'd rather take a risk on someone I believe in than keep doing what's safe and slow and soul-crushing. Maya sat down heavily. You're putting your entire company on the line for me. I'm putting it on the line for us, for what we could build together. And if we fail? Then we fail spectacularly. Victoria smiled. But we won't. You're too talented, too determined, too hungry, in both senses of the word. Maya laughed despite herself. This is crazy. Yes, it is. They sat in silence for a moment. I'll need help, Maya said finally. I can't do this alone. I'll need a sous chef, prep cooks, someone I trust to have my back. Anyone you want. I'll approve it. And I'll need to taste everything in the Ashford's pantry. Get familiar with the equipment. Create the menu. Test every dish. 5 days isn't much time. I know, but if anyone can do it, it's you. Maya took a deep breath. Okay, yes. Let's do this. Really. Really? Maya's expression hardened with determination. Your son thinks I'm going to fail. Thinks I'm just some unqualified waitress? I'm going to prove him wrong. That's my girl. They spent the next 3 hours in the kitchen. Maya tasted everything, every sauce, every spice blend, every ingredient in the Ashford's extensive pantry. She made notes, asked questions, started sketching menu ideas. Lily sat at the prep counter colouring, occasionally wandering over to taste something Maya offered her. What do you think, baby? Maya asked, offering Lily a spoonful of truffle cream sauce. Lily wrinkled her nose. Too fancy? It tastes like it's trying too hard, Maya laughed. You're absolutely right. Victoria watched them work together, this mother and daughter team, who'd somehow become her unlikely salvation. Maya was a natural in the kitchen. Her movements were efficient, confident. She knew exactly what she was doing. But more than that, she was creative. Every dish she conceptualized had a story, a meaning. She wasn't just putting food on a plate. She was creating an experience. By 8 p.m., Maya had a rough menu outline. Okay, she said, showing it to Victoria. First course, winter vegetable soup with herb oil. Simple, warming, welcoming. Second course, seared scallops with citrus beurre blanc and microgreens. Third course, choice of braised short rib or pan-roasted salmon with seasonal vegetables. Fourth course, salted caramel panna cotta with chocolate soil. Victoria read through it. It's perfect. Elegant but not pretentious. Sophisticated but approachable. That's what I was going for. Maya hesitated. But Victoria, this is going to be expensive. These ingredients. Don't worry about cost. Worry about perfection. Okay. Then I'll need to start testing tomorrow. And I'll need to hire that sous chef. I know someone. Jerome Washington. We worked together at Premier Catering. He's currently doing private chef work, but if I can convince him... Offer him whatever he wants. Salary, benefits, whatever it takes. You're really going all in on this, aren't you? Victoria smiled. I don't know how to do anything halfway. The next 3 days were chaos. Maya worked from 6 a.m. to midnight testing dishes, adjusting recipes, training the kitchen staff who were skeptical at best and hostile at worst. Chef Robert, the current head chef, was particularly difficult. You want me to take orders from a waitress? He said to Victoria on day 2. I have 15 years of experience at Michelin-starred restaurants. I trained under Daniel Boulud. And you want me to follow recipes from someone who worked at a diner? I want you to follow recipes from someone who's about to save this restaurant, Victoria shot back. And if you can't do that, there's the door. Robert stayed. But his resentment was palpable. Maya handled it with grace Victoria admired. She didn't argue, didn't defend herself, just kept working, kept cooking, kept proving her skill with every dish. By day 3, even Robert had to admit the food was exceptional. I don't understand it, he muttered to Victoria while watching Maya work. She's not doing anything revolutionary. These are classic techniques, but somehow the food tastes different. Better. It's called heart, Victoria said. Maybe you should try cooking with some. Jerome Washington arrived on day 3. A tall, quiet man in his 40s who moved through the kitchen with the same efficiency as Maya. The two of them worked together like a well-oiled machine, finishing each other's sentences, anticipating each other's needs. Where has he been? Victoria asked Maya during a break. Working private events. He's too talented for that, but after COVID, a lot of us got stuck in whatever jobs we could find. Maya took a sip of water. Jerome's got 2 kids in college. He needs steady income. If you hire him permanently. Done. Same terms as yours. Flexible schedule. Full benefits. You're really betting everything on us, aren't you? Yes, I am. Lily spent those 3 days at the Ashford too. Victoria had a corner of the office set up with books, crayons, and a tablet with educational games. But Lily preferred watching her mother work. She's so cool, Lily whispered to Victoria on day 4, while they watched Maya plate a dish. Look how fast her hands move. Like magic. Your mother is very special, Victoria agreed. I want to be just like her when I grow up. Then you'll be extraordinary on day 4, December 30th. Something unexpected happened. The Ashford was doing a trial run of the New Year's Eve menu for a small group of regular customers. 20 people who'd agreed to provide feedback before the big night. Among them was Jennifer Martinez, a food blogger with 200,000 Instagram followers and a reputation for brutal honesty. Maya was terrified. That's Jennifer Martinez, she hissed to Victoria. She destroyed Franco's Steakhouse last month. 1 bad review from her and we're done. Then don't give her something to criticize, Victoria said calmly. Give her something to love. The dinner service went perfectly. Every dish executed flawlessly. The timing was precise. The flavors were balanced. Maya had trained the front-of-house staff personally, making sure they understood the story behind each dish. When the winter vegetable soup arrived at Jennifer Martinez's table, Victoria watched from her position near the kitchen door. Jennifer took a spoonful. Paused. Took another. Then she pulled out her phone. Oh no, Maya whispered. She's going to post something horrible, but when Victoria checked Instagram 5 minutes later, she saw something different. Jennifer had posted a photo of the soup perfectly lit, steam rising with the caption, I wasn't planning to post tonight, but I can't keep quiet about this. I'm at the Ashford for a preview of their New Year's menu, and I just had the most incredible winter vegetable soup of my life. Simple ingredients, masterful execution, and something else I can't quite name. Maybe it's soul? I've eaten at hundreds of restaurants, and this might be the first time food made me feel seen. More courses coming, but if they're half as good as this soup, the Ashford is back, baby. Chicago Eats. The Ashford hashtag food that matters. Stared at her phone, tears streaming down her face. She liked it, Maya whispered. She really liked it, but it got better. By the time dessert was served, Jennifer had posted about every course. Each photo, each caption, each post more enthusiastic than the last, and her followers were going wild. I need a reservation. How do I get in for New Year's? This is what Chicago needed, fine dining with heart. By 10 p.m., the Ashfords' phone was ringing off the hook. People trying to get New Year's Eve reservations even though they'd been booked solid for weeks. By midnight, Jennifer's posts had been shared 5,000 times. By the next morning, New Year's Eve, the Ashford was trending on Chicago Food Instagram. Victoria showed Maya the analytics. We've had 30,000 people visit our website in the past 12 hours. Our reservation list for January is full. February is filling up, and we're getting calls from food critics asking to visit. Maya looked stunned. All from one blogger. All from you making food people can't stop talking about. Victoria smiled. You did this, Maya. Your talent, your heart. This is what happens when you trust yourself. But there was a problem. Richard had seen the posts too. He showed up at the Ashford that morning, Diane in tow, both of them looking murderous. Mother, Richard said coldly. We need to talk. They went to Victoria's office. Richard closed the door. You orchestrated this, he accused. Orchestrated what? This viral moment. Jennifer Martinez doesn't just randomly show up at restaurants. You invited her. You paid her to post? I did no such thing, Victoria said. Jennifer Martinez was here because she's a regular customer. She posts when she wants to post. I had nothing to do with it. Convenient, Diane said. Right before the biggest test of Maya Thompson's career, suddenly she's a viral sensation. That's not convenient. That's talent. Victoria leaned forward. You're angry because Maya's succeeding. Because she's proving you wrong. She hasn't proven anything yet, Richard snapped. Tonight is the real test. 200 covers. High pressure. Let's see if she can actually handle it. She will, and if she doesn't, you're done. We have the votes to remove you, Mother. The board's patience is gone. Tonight either makes or breaks everything. He left without another word. Victoria sat in her office, hands trembling. She wasn't afraid of losing her position. She was afraid of letting Maya down. This young woman had trusted her, had bet her future on Victoria's instinct. And if Victoria was wrong, if Maya failed tonight, it would destroy her. A knock on the door. Come in, Maya entered, looking nervous. Richard was here? He thinks I'm going to fail tonight. Maya sat down. Victoria, I have to tell you something. I'm terrified. That's normal. No, listen. Maya's voice shook. What if this was all a fluke? What if Jennifer Martinez was just being nice? What if tonight I choke and ruin everything? You won't. You don't know that. Victoria wheeled closer. Maya, do you know why I believe in you? Because you're desperate? No, because I see myself in you. Victoria's voice was gentle. 50 years ago, I was exactly where you are. No credentials, no connections, just talent and determination and people telling me I wasn't good enough. Thomas was the only one who believed in me, the only one who took a chance. She took Maya's hand. You're not going to fail tonight because failure isn't in your DNA. You're a survivor, a fighter, a woman who's overcome things that would have broken most people. Is just one more challenge. And you're going to conquer it the way you've conquered everything else, with skill, determination, and heart. Maya wiped her eyes. What if? No what ifs, just certainty. You are going to succeed tonight. And tomorrow, Richard, and everyone else who doubted you is going to have to eat crow. Metaphorically speaking. I'm really something that's betting everything on you. Don't make me regret it. They hugged. And in that moment, Victoria felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years. A sense of family, of belonging, of being part of something bigger than herself. Whatever happened tonight, she'd already won. Because she wasn't alone anymore. New Year's Eve arrived cold and clear. By 4 p.m. the Ashford was buzzing with preparation. Maya and Jerome had the kitchen organized like a military operation. Every station set up perfectly. Every ingredient prepped and ready. The front-of-house staff had been briefed and rebriefed. Victoria watched from her usual position near the kitchen door, feeling helpless. All she could do now was wait and hope. At 5 p.m., the first guests arrived. By 6 p.m., the restaurant was packed. 200 people dressed in their finest, ready to ring in the new year with exceptional food. Victoria recognized several faces. Food critics, local celebrities, regular customers who'd been coming to the Ashford for 20 years. And in the corner booth, Richard and Diane, watching with predatory intensity. The first course went out at 6:30 p.m. tonight. Victoria held her breath. The winter vegetable soup, Maya's signature dish that had started everything. She watched faces as people tasted it. Saw expressions change, saw smiles, heard murmurs of approval. The second course, seared scallops, more smiles, more approval. By the third course, Victoria could breathe again. It was working. Maya was pulling it off. But then, disaster. At 8:15 p.m., Jerome appeared at Victoria's side, his face pale. "We have a problem." Victoria's heart stopped. "What?" "The short ribs. Something's wrong with the last batch. They're tough, overcooked, 30 orders affected." "How did that happen?" "I don't know. I think—" Jerome's jaw tightened. "I think someone sabotaged us. The oven temperature was changed. Someone turned it up when no one was looking." Victoria's blood ran cold. She looked across the restaurant at Richard. He was smiling. "Can you fix it?" Victoria asked. "Not in time. Those 30 orders are due out in 10 minutes. Then substitute something else. There's nothing else prepped." "Jerome." Maya appeared, calm despite the crisis. "Go to the walk-in. Get the salmon fillets from the morning delivery. We'll pivot. Pan-seared salmon with beurre blanc instead of short ribs. Same sides. Slightly different presentation." "Maya, that's 30 fillets to prep and cook in 10 minutes. Then we'd better get started." What followed was the most intense 10 minutes of Victoria's life. Maya and Jerome moved through that kitchen like Olympic athletes, filleting salmon, searing it to perfection, plating it with the precision of surgeons. The other kitchen staff jumped in to help without being asked. Even Chef Robert, who'd been resistant from the start, started plating sides without complaint. At 8:25 p.m., exactly on schedule, all 30 plates went out. Victoria watched the affected tables nervously. One woman took a bite of the salmon, paused, took another. Then she flagged down a server. "Oh no," Maya whispered beside Victoria. The server approached. The woman said something. The server nodded and hurried toward the kitchen. Victoria braced herself for a complaint, but the server was smiling. "Table 47 wants to compliment the chef," the server said. "She said the salmon is the best she's ever had. She wants to know if she can have the recipe." Maya burst into tears. "You did it," Victoria said, hugging her. "You actually did it. We did it," Maya corrected. "All of us." The rest of the dinner service was flawless. By 11 p.m. desserts had been served. By 11:45 p.m., champagne had been poured for the midnight toast. At exactly midnight, the entire restaurant counted down together. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Cheers erupted. People kissed. Confetti fell from the ceiling, a tradition Thomas had started 20 years ago. And in the kitchen, Maya collapsed against the prep counter, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it." Victoria wheeled into the kitchen. Behind her came Marcus Chen, Patricia Okoye, and David Walsh, the 3 board members who'd supported her. "Maya Thompson," Marcus said formally. "On behalf of the Ashfords' board of directors, I'd like to officially welcome you as head chef. That was the most impressive debut I've seen in 30 years. Maya looked at Victoria, tears streaming down her face. Victoria was crying too. They'd won. But the celebration was short-lived. Richard appeared in the kitchen doorway, his face twisted with rage. "This isn't over," he said to Victoria. "You may have won tonight, but I'm not done. I'm going to—" "You're going to leave," Patricia interrupted. "Now, before I call security. You can't— Actually, we can—" David Walsh stepped forward. "The board took a vote while you were watching dinner service. You're removed from the Ashfords' board effective immediately. Consider this your official notice." Richard's face went white. "You can't do this." "We just did," Marcus said. "Your behavior tonight was reprehensible, attempting to sabotage the kitchen, trying to make your own mother fail. You're done, Richard. My lawyers will tell you that you have no case," Patricia said. "You signed a contract with a morality clause. Sabotage violates it. Leave now, or we'll make this public." Richard looked at Victoria. For a moment she saw something in his face, not anger but hurt, the hurt of a son who'd lost his mother long before tonight. "You chose them over your own family," he said quietly. "No," Victoria said. "I chose people who actually care about me over people who only wanted my money. There's a difference." Richard left without another word. Diane followed, her heels clicking angrily on the kitchen floor. When they were gone, the kitchen erupted in cheers. Maya hugged Jerome. Jerome hugged the prep cooks. Chef Robert, shockingly, shook Maya's hand and said, "You earned it." "Congratulations." Victoria sat in her wheelchair, surrounded by people celebrating, and felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years. Joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy. Lily appeared, having been watching from the office where she'd fallen asleep around 10 p.m. "Mommy?" She was rubbing her eyes, her hair messy. "Did we win?" "We won, baby." Maya picked her up, holding her tight. "We won." Lily looked at Victoria over her mother's shoulder. "See? I told you everything would be okay." Victoria laughed. "Yes, you did. Thank you for believing in us." "Always," Lily said seriously. "That's what families do." And in that moment, Victoria realized something. She had a family again. Not the one she'd been born into or the one she'd built with Thomas, but a new one, chosen, built on trust and respect and genuine care, a family that had saved her when she'd stopped believing she was worth saving. The morning after New Year's Eve, Victoria woke up to her phone exploding with notifications. The Chicago Tribune had published their review. The Ashford resurrects itself with new chef's stunning debut. The Ashford has been coasting on reputation, while the food grew increasingly forgettable. Last night, new head chef Maya Thompson proved that this legendary restaurant still has a pulse, and it's beating stronger than ever. Thompson's New Year's Eve menu was a masterclass in how to honor tradition while breathing new life into it. Every dish told a story. Every bite felt personal. This is what fine dining should be, technically perfect but emotionally resonant. The Ashford is back, and it's better than ever. 5 stars. Victoria read it 3 times, tears streaming down her face. But the Tribune wasn't alone. Food bloggers, Instagram influencers, and local news outlets were all posting about the Ashfords' miraculous comeback. Jennifer Martinez's posts had been shared over 50,000 times. Reservation requests were flooding in. They were booked solid through March. Victoria's phone rang. "Margaret, Mrs. Ashford, have you seen the news? I'm reading it now. We're getting calls from investors, people who want to partner with the Ashford. Franchise opportunities. A production company wants to do a documentary about Maya's story." "Slow down," Victoria said, but she was smiling. "One thing at a time. There's more." The other 6 Ashford locations want Maya to revamp their menus. They're calling her a genius. Chef Robert posted on his Instagram this morning. Did you see it? Victoria pulled up Instagram. Chef Robert had posted a photo of Maya in the kitchen with the caption, "Last night, I worked alongside one of the most talented chefs I've ever met. Maya Thompson doesn't just cook, she creates magic. Proud to be part of this team. Hashtag the Ashford hashtag humble and hungry." Victoria laughed. Chef Robert, who'd been so singing Maya's praises. "What should I tell the investors?" Margaret asked. "Tell them we're not interested in franchising. The Ashford isn't about expansion. It's about quality, but schedule meetings for next week. I want to hear what they have to say." After hanging up, Victoria got dressed and headed to the Ashford. She found Maya already there, even though it was only 8 a.m. She was in the kitchen with Jerome, reviewing inventory. "You're here early," Victoria said. Maya looked up, exhausted but happy. Couldn't sleep. Too much adrenaline. Plus, we need to start prepping for tonight's dinner service, and I want to... She stopped. "Victoria, did you see the reviews? I saw them. They called me a genius." Maya's voice cracked. "Me. The waitress nobody wanted to hire." "No," Victoria corrected gently. "They called you what you've always been, a brilliant chef. The world just needed time to catch up." Jerome cleared his throat. "I'm going to give you two some privacy. Maya, I'll be in the walk-in doing inventory." When he left, Maya sat down heavily on a prep stool. "I keep waiting to wake up," she said. "This doesn't feel real. Yesterday I was worried about making rent. Today I'm getting offers from investors and production companies." "Welcome to success," Victoria said. "It's disorienting at first. How do you handle it? You remember where you came from? You stay humble? You keep working hard." Victoria wheeled closer. "And you protect yourself from people who want to use you." Maya's expression darkened. "Be careful. Success people who want to use you." Maya's expression darkened. "You mean like your son tried to use you?" "Yes. Maya, you need to be careful." "Yes. Maya, you need to be careful. Success brings attention, good and bad. People will want to attach themselves to you now. Investors, partners, friends, who suddenly appear. Not all of them have your best interests at heart." "I don't trust easily," Maya said. Marcus made sure of that. "Good. Keep that instinct." Victoria paused. "But also, don't let fear stop you from accepting real opportunities. The documentary, for example, that could be powerful. Your story could inspire people. You think I should do it? I think you should consider it carefully. But yes, I think your story deserves to be told." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Maya said quietly, "Thank you. For what? For believing in me when nobody else did. For risking everything. For..." Her voice broke. for treating me like I matter. Victoria took her hand. Maya, you do matter. You always have. I just gave you a platform to show the world what I already knew. They hugged, both of them crying. When they pulled apart, Maya wiped her eyes and laughed. We're a mess. We're a victorious mess, Victoria corrected. The kitchen door swung open. Lily ran in, wearing a sparkly dress and carrying a drawing. Grandma Victoria! Mommy, look what I made! She held up the drawing a crayon masterpiece, showing 3 stick figures holding hands. One in a wheelchair, one tall, one small. Above them, in shaky letters, our family. Victoria's vision blurred. Do you like it? Lily asked anxiously. I love it, Victoria whispered. It's perfect. Can I put it on the wall so everyone knows we're a family? Maya looked at Victoria, questioning. Victoria nodded. Yes, sweetheart. Put it wherever you want. Lily carefully taped the drawing to the wall near the prep station, right where everyone in the kitchen could see it. Our family. Victoria stared at those words and felt something shift inside her chest. For 5 years, she'd been mourning the family she'd lost. Thomas. The relationship with her children that had crumbled. But maybe family wasn't just blood. Maybe it was the people who showed up. Who believed in you. Who fought beside you even when the odds were impossible. Maybe she'd been looking for family in all the wrong places. That afternoon, Victoria did something she hadn't done in 5 years. Maya looked up from the vegetables she was chopping. Teach you what? How to cook again. Victoria's voice was quiet. I used to love it. Thomas and I built this company cooking side by side. But after he died, after the accident, I couldn't be in a kitchen without falling apart. But watching you these past few days, seeing the joy you have when you cook, I want that back. I want to remember why I love this. Maya set down her knife. You want me to teach you to cook? Victoria, you're a legend. You built this empire 50 years ago. The industry has changed. Techniques have evolved. And more importantly, I've lost my passion. You have what I need to rediscover. That pure love of creating something beautiful and feeding people. Maya looked at Jerome. He nodded encouragingly. Okay, Maya said. Yeah, let's do it. She pulled out a second cutting board and handed Victoria a knife. We're going to start simple, Maya said. Just vegetables. Nothing complicated. I want you to remember what it feels like to work with your hands. Victoria wheeled up to the prep station. Her hands trembled as she picked up the knife. From nerves, not from her condition. Like this, Maya demonstrated, her knife moving in smooth, efficient motions through a carrot. Steady pressure. Let the knife do the work. Victoria tried to copy her. The first few cuts were clumsy, uneven. She felt frustrated tears building. Don't rush, Maya said gently. This isn't about perfection. It's about connection. Feel the carrot, feel the knife, feel the rhythm. Victoria took a breath. Tried again. This time, the cuts were better. Good, Maya encouraged. Now keep going. Find your flow. They worked in silence for 20 minutes, Victoria chopping vegetables while Maya offered quiet guidance. Slowly, Victoria felt something awakening inside her. Muscle memory, the satisfaction of creating something with her own hands, the meditative quality of repetitive motion. How does it feel? Maya asked. Like coming home, Victoria said softly. They moved on to a simple soup, the same winter vegetable soup that had started everything. Maya walked Victoria through each step, sautéing the aromatics, adding the broth, seasoning carefully. Taste as you go, Maya instructed. Cooking is about constant adjustment. Add a little salt. taste. Add herbs, taste. You're having a conversation with the food. Victoria tasted the soup. It needed something. She added a squeeze of lemon, tasted again. Perfect. There, Maya said, smiling. You just made your first dish in 5 years. Victoria stared at the pot of soup. It was simple, nothing fancy, but she'd made it. She'd created something. Can I tell you something? Victoria said. Thomas and I used to make soup together every Sunday. His grandmother's recipe. After he died, I couldn't make it anymore. It hurt too much. And now I think maybe I can again. Victoria looked at Maya. Because you've taught me that cooking doesn't have to be about what I've lost. It can be about what I'm building. Maya hugged her. You're going to make me cry again. That seems to be my specialty lately. They laughed, and in that moment, with her hands covered in vegetables and soup simmering on the stove, Victoria felt more alive than she had in years. Jerome appeared with Lily, who'd been playing in the office. Can I taste? Lily asked, eyeing the soup. Of course. Victoria ladled some into a small bowl and handed it to her. Lily took a sip. Her eyes went wide. Grandma Victoria, this is so good. You're a chef like Mummy. Not quite, Victoria said, but she was smiling. Yes, you are, Lily insisted. You made food that tastes like love. That's what makes someone a chef. Victoria looked at Maya. Your daughter is wise beyond her years. She gets it from me, Maya said with a grin. They spent the rest of the afternoon cooking together. Victoria working alongside Maya and Jerome, relearning techniques she'd forgotten, discovering new ones she'd never known. And for the first time in 5 years, she wasn't the CEO sitting in an office making decisions. She was just a cook, working with her hands, creating something beautiful. It felt like freedom. That evening the Ashford was packed again. Word had spread about Maya's success, and everyone wanted to experience it firsthand. Victoria watched from her usual position near the kitchen door as Maya commanded her domain. She was transformed in the kitchen, confident, decisive, completely in her element. This was where Maya belonged, and Victoria had given her this opportunity. During a lull between courses, Maya came out to check on Victoria. How are you holding up? Maya asked. I'm perfect, Victoria said honestly. Thank you for today. For teaching me. For reminding me why I fell in love with this business. Thank you for giving me a chance to show what I can do. They stood together, watching the dining room full of happy people eating food that mattered. You know what's funny? Maya said. A week ago, I was terrified of you. You were this legendary CEO, this intimidating woman in a wheelchair who owned everything. I thought you were going to judge me, find me lacking, send me back to being a waitress. And now you're family. Maya's voice was soft. You're the grandmother Lily never had, the mentor I desperately needed, the friend I didn't know I was looking for. Victoria felt tears building again. You're making me emotional. Good. You need to feel things. You've been numb too long. How did you get so wise? Survival teaches you things, Maya said. You either break or you learn. I chose to learn, Antonio approached. Mrs. Ashford, there's someone here to see you. She says she's your daughter? Victoria's heart stopped. Amanda? She's in the lobby. Victoria looked at Maya, who nodded encouragingly. Go. I've got the kitchen covered. Victoria wheeled to the lobby with a mixture of hope and dread. Amanda stood there, 48 years old, her father's eyes, wearing an expensive coat and uncomfortable expression. Mom, she said. Amanda? Victoria tried to read her daughter's face. What are you doing here? I saw the reviews, the articles, the photos of you cooking with that new chef." Amanda's voice was tight. "Everyone's talking about the Ashfords' comeback. About how you took a chance on someone nobody believed in." "Yes, I did. I also heard about Richard, about what he tried to do. He's been removed from the board." They went to Victoria's office. Amanda sat down, looking uncomfortable. "I owe you an apology," Amanda said finally. Victoria was stunned into silence. "I've been a terrible daughter," Amanda continued. "After Dad died, after your accident, I should have been there, but I was angry that you'd spent my childhood working instead of being present, angry that it took Dad's death for you to realize family mattered. So I punished you by staying away." "Amanda, let me finish." Amanda's eyes were wet. "I was wrong. You were doing your best, building a business, providing for us, trying to give us opportunities you never had. I took it personally instead of understanding that you loved us in the only way you knew how." "I should have been there more," Victoria said. "You were right to be angry. Maybe. But staying angry for 5 years while you grieved alone? That was cruel. And I'm sorry." They sat in heavy silence. "I saw the photo of you with that little girl," Amanda said. "Lily. She's in the kitchen with her mother." "Yes. You look happy with them. Happier than I've seen you in years." "They saved me," Victoria admitted. "I was drowning, and they threw me a lifeline." "I should have been that lifeline," Amanda said. "I'm your daughter. It should have been me. You're here now. That's what matters." Amanda wiped her eyes. Can I meet them, this family you found?" "Of course." Victoria led Amanda to the kitchen. Maya was plating desserts with Jerome, both of them moving in perfect synchronization. Lily was at the prep counter, drawing while keeping one eye on her mother. "Maya," Victoria said. "Jerome, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Amanda." Maya wiped her hands and extended one to Amanda. "It's nice to meet you." Amanda shook it, studying Maya. "My mother says you saved her life. She saved mine first," Maya said simply. "We saved each other." Lily hopped down from her stool and walked up to Amanda. "Are you Grandma Victoria's daughter? The one who doesn't visit?" "Lily," Maya said, mortified. But Victoria laughed. "Yes, sweetheart, that's her." Lily studied Amanda with serious eyes. "You should visit more. Grandma Victoria gets lonely. That's why she's part of our family now." "Because we visit her." Amanda's face crumpled. She knelt down to Lily's level. "You're absolutely right. I should visit more, and I will. I promise." "Good." Lily handed her a drawing, one of her stick figure families. "Here, you can be in the picture too." She'd added a 4th stick figure holding hands with the others. Amanda took the drawing with shaking hands. "Thank you. You're welcome. Now I have to help Mommy. It's busy tonight." She skipped back to the prep counter. Amanda stood up, tears streaming down her face. "Mum, she's special." "Yes, she is. How did you find them?" "I didn't. They found me." Victoria smiled. "Christmas Eve. I was alone in a restaurant, crying into my cold dinner. Lily walked over and told me nobody should be alone on Christmas. Then she gave me a candy cane. That's how it started." Amanda laughed through her tears. "A candy cane?" "A candy cane and a drawing and a little girl's kindness. Sometimes that's all it takes to change everything." They stood together, watching Maya work. "She's talented," Amanda said. "She's extraordinary. I'm glad you found each other." Amanda turned to Victoria. "Can we start over? Can I be part of your life again?" "You've always been part of my life," Victoria said. "You just weren't present in it." "But yes, I'd like that. I'd like that very much." They hugged, really hugged, for the first time in years. When they pulled apart, Amanda said, "I should get going. I have a flight tomorrow. But I'll come back next month, if that's okay." "That would be wonderful. And maybe—" Amanda hesitated. "Maybe I could bring the kids, your grandchildren. They ask about you." Victoria's heart squeezed. She hadn't seen her grandchildren in over a year. "I'd love that." As Amanda left, Victoria felt something shifting inside her. She was rebuilding, not just her business, her life, her relationships, her sense of purpose. And it had all started with a little girl in a worn pink dress offering her a candy cane. 3 months later, the Ashford was thriving. Every location had been revamped with Maya's vision, menus that honored tradition while feeling fresh and relevant. Customer reviews were glowing. Revenue was up 40%. Food critics were calling the Ashford the restaurant Chicago needed. But more importantly, Victoria was happy. She spent her days working alongside Maya, learning new techniques, rediscovering her passion for cooking. She spent her evenings with Lily, helping with homework and listening to stories about school. On Friday nights, Maya's day off, the three of them had dinner together at Victoria's penthouse. Just them. No work, no stress, just family. Amanda visited once a month, bringing Victoria's grandchildren. The relationships were still fragile, still healing, but they were rebuilding. Even James called more frequently from Seattle. The conversations were stilted and awkward, but they were trying. Richard hadn't spoken to Victoria since New Year's Eve. She'd heard through Margaret that he was working with a different restaurant group, trying to start his own venture. Part of her felt sad about the complete severing of their relationship, but mostly she felt relieved. Some relationships couldn't be saved, and that was okay. On a warm April afternoon, Victoria was in the Ashford's kitchen when Maya called her over. "I need your opinion on something," Maya said. She led Victoria to the private dining room where Jerome was setting up a table. "What's this?" Victoria asked. "A surprise." Maya looked nervous. "I've been working on a new dish. Something special. I want you to be the first to try it." She disappeared into the kitchen and returned with a single plate. On it was a perfectly plated short rib with roasted root vegetables and a rich pan sauce. Simple, elegant, beautiful. Victoria took a bite. The meat was tender, falling apart at the touch of her fork. The sauce was complex, layers of flavor that built on each other. The vegetables were perfectly cooked, each one contributing something essential to the overall dish. But what struck Victoria most was the emotion in it. This wasn't just food. This was a story, a memory, a love letter on a plate. "Maya," Victoria whispered, "this is incredible." "It's your husband's recipe," Maya said quietly. "I found it in the archives, the original menu from when you first opened the Ashford. Thomas's braised short ribs. I updated it slightly, modernized the technique, but the core is all him." Victoria's vision blurred. "How did you know?" "Because you told me once that Thomas loved cooking short ribs, that it was his signature dish. I wanted to honor that, to honor him." Victoria couldn't speak. She just took another bite, tasting Thomas in every flavor, remembering the countless times they'd cooked this together. "I thought maybe," Maya continued, "we could add it to the menu, as a permanent dish. Thomas's short ribs, a tribute to the man who started all of this." Victoria set down her fork and reached for Maya's hand. "That would be perfect." They sat together in silence, both of them crying happy tears. "You know what's funny?" Victoria said finally. 5 months ago I was ready to give up. I was alone, my business was failing, my family had abandoned me. I thought I had nothing left to live for. And now? Now I have everything. Victoria looked at Maya. I have you. I have Lily. I have this restaurant that's thriving again. I have purpose. I have joy. I have a reason to wake up every morning. We have each other, Maya corrected. That's what makes it work. The door opened. Lily burst in, her backpack bouncing. Mommy! Grandma Victoria! Guess what? I got an A on my math test. That's wonderful, baby. Maya hugged her. Lily noticed the plate. Ooh, what's that? That, Victoria said, is your great-grandfather Thomas's famous short ribs. Would you like to try some? Lily climbed into the chair next to Victoria. Maya cut a small piece for her. Lily chewed thoughtfully. Then she smiled. It tastes like love. Victoria laughed. Yes, sweetheart, that's exactly what it is. That evening, after dinner service, Victoria gathered the entire Ashford staff in the main dining room. All 30 people who made the restaurant run, from the dishwashers to the servers to the chefs. I wanted to talk to you all, Victoria said from her wheelchair at the head of the room. About where we've been and where we're going? Everyone fell silent. 5 months ago, the Ashford was dying. We all knew it. The food had no soul. The customers could feel it. We were going through the motions, waiting for the end. Victoria looked around the room, but then something miraculous happened. A woman walked into my life, a waitress who everyone had overlooked and underestimated, and she reminded me what this business is really about. She gestured to Maya, who was standing near the back, looking embarrassed. Maya taught me that food isn't just about technique or presentation or Michelin stars. It's about connection. It's about making people feel seen and cared for. It's about putting your heart on a plate and serving it to strangers who become friends. Victoria wheeled forward slightly. I founded the Ashford 50 years ago with my husband Thomas. We were young, broke, and completely in over our heads. But we had passion. We had love. We had a vision of creating spaces where people could come together and feel like family, even if it was just for one meal. She paused. Somewhere along the way, I lost that vision. I got caught up in expansion and revenue and impressing critics. I forgot that the point of this was never to build an empire. It was to feed people, to nourish them, body and soul. Maya brought that back, Victoria continued, but she couldn't have done it alone. Every single person in this room played a part in our resurrection. The prep cooks who stayed late perfecting dishes, the servers who told our story to customers, the dishwashers who kept everything running smoothly, Jerome, who jumped in without hesitation when Maya needed support, Chef Robert, who put his ego aside and embraced change. She looked at each person. You are the Ashford, not the building, not the brand. You. And I want you to know that I see you, I value you, and I'm grateful for you. Victoria pulled out an envelope, which is why I'm announcing profit sharing, effective immediately. 20% of the Ashford's profits will be distributed among the staff based on tenure and position. You've earned it. You've made this company what it is. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Additionally, Victoria continued, I'm establishing the Thomas Ashford Scholarship Fund. We'll provide full culinary school tuition for any staff member who wants to pursue formal training. No one should be held back by lack of credentials or money. If you have talent and passion, you deserve a chance to develop it. Maya was crying openly now. Finally, Victoria said, I want to announce that I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations. Not because I'm being forced out, and not because I'm giving up, but because I've found something more important than running a corporation. She looked at Maya and Lily. I've found family. And I want to spend whatever time I have left actually living my life, instead of just working through it. Maya Thompson will take over as Chief Culinary Officer for all 7 Ashford locations, Victoria announced. She'll oversee all menus, hire all chefs, and guide the culinary vision for the company. Jerome Washington will be promoted to executive chef here at the flagship location. The applause was thunderous. "I'll remain as CEO on paper," Victoria said, "but this is Maya's company now. She's earned it, and I trust her completely." After the meeting, Maya pulled Victoria aside. "I can't accept this," Maya said. "Chief Culinary Officer? That's too much responsibility." "You can and you will," Victoria said firmly. "Maya, you've proven yourself 10 times over. You're ready for this. What if I fail? Then you'll learn and try again. That's how this works." Victoria smiled. "Besides, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here whenever you need me. Think of me as your advisor, your partner, my family," Maya finished. "Yes, exactly." They hugged. "I never thought I'd have this," Maya whispered. "A career I love, financial security, someone who believes in me. A grandmother for Lily who actually shows up." "And I never thought I'd have this," Victoria said. "A reason to keep going. People who need me for who I am, not what I can give them. A chance to do things right." "We saved each other," Maya said. "Yes," Victoria agreed. "We did." 6 months later, on a crisp October evening, Victoria hosted a dinner party at her penthouse. It wasn't for business. It wasn't for investors or critics or board members. It was for family. Maya and Lily were there, of course. Jerome and his wife. Chef Robert and his partner. Amanda and her children. James had flown in from Seattle with his family. Even Margaret came, bringing her husband. The table stretched the length of Victoria's dining room, set with Thomas's good china and fresh flowers and candles that cast everything in warm light. They cooked together, all of them crowding into Victoria's kitchen, laughing and chopping and tasting and adjusting. Maya orchestrated, but everyone contributed something. Lily helped Victoria make biscuits, both of them covered in flour. Amanda taught her children how to make the salad. James and Jerome bonded over the best way to sear a steak. It was chaotic and messy and absolutely perfect. When they finally sat down to eat, Victoria looked around the table at all these faces, some related by blood, most not, and felt overwhelming gratitude. This was what she'd been searching for. Not success, not recognition, not even redemption, just this. Connection, love, people who showed up and stayed. "I'd like to make a toast," Victoria said, raising her glass. Everyone quieted, turning to her. "A year ago, I was alone. I'd lost my husband, alienated my children, and turned my business into something I no longer recognized. I was just going through the motions, waiting to die." She looked at Lily. "And then a little girl in a pink dress told me that nobody should be alone on Christmas. And she gave me a candy cane. And everything changed." Lily beamed. "Maya, you gave me purpose. You reminded me why I fell in love with this business. You taught me that it's never too late to start over, to take risks, to believe in people who don't fit the mold." Victoria looked at Amanda and James. "You gave me a second chance at being a mother, at showing you who I really am instead of just the workaholic you grew up with." She looked at everyone else, and all of you gave me something I'd stopped believing in: community. A chosen family who supports each other not because you have to, but because you want to. Victoria's voice cracked. "Thomas used to say that the best meals are the ones where you forget you're eating because you're too busy enjoying the company. Where the food is just an excuse to be together. That's what this is, and that's what the Ashford is becoming again." She raised her glass higher, to second chances, to chosen family, to little girls who teach old women how to live again, and to the power of a single act of kindness to change everything. To family, everyone echoed. They ate, they laughed. They told stories late into the night. At one point, Victoria looked down the table and caught Maya's eye. Maya smiled, a real smile, full of joy and contentment and peace. Victoria smiled back. They'd saved each other. A billionaire and a single mother. A woman who'd lost everything, and a woman who'd never had much to begin with. And together, they'd built something neither of them could have created alone. Not just a successful restaurant, not just a business. A family? A real one. The kind that showed up and stayed and fought for each other when things got hard. The kind Victoria had been searching for her entire life, and she'd found it in the most unexpected place, at a table on Christmas Eve with a little girl and her mother, who'd walked into her life and refused to leave. Later, after everyone had gone home, Victoria sat alone in her penthouse with Lily's drawing from that first night. Friends make Christmas good. Victoria's phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Victoria's phone buzz. You've changed our lives. Love you. Victoria texted back. You changed mine first. Love you too. She wheeled to the window and looked out at Chicago. The lights, the lake, the city that had been her home for 72 years. She'd spent most of those years building something. Chasing success. Proving herself. Fighting to be taken seriously in a world that didn't believe in women like her. And she'd succeeded. By any measure, she'd succeeded. But success hadn't made her happy. Money hadn't made her happy. Even Thomas, wonderful as he was, hadn't been enough to fill the void. What had finally made her happy was letting people in. Accepting help. Admitting she needed connection just as much as she needed purpose. Opening her heart to a waitress and her daughter who'd seen her not as a powerful CEO, but as a lonely woman who needed a friend. Victoria thought about Richard, her son who'd tried to take everything from her. She felt sorry for him. He was still chasing what she'd spent 72 years chasing. And he'd never understand that the thing he wanted, power, control, wealth, wouldn't satisfy him the way he thought it would. But maybe someday he'd learn. Maybe someday he'd find his own Maya and Lily, people who'd show him that being vulnerable wasn't weakness, that needing others wasn't failure, that the only thing that really mattered in the end was love. Victoria pulled out her phone and opened her photos. There was a recent one from the Ashfords' kitchen. Her, Maya, and Lily, all covered in flour from making biscuits together. They were laughing, genuinely, joyfully laughing. Victoria sent the photo to Richard with a simple message. It's never too late to choose differently. The door is always open if you want to come home. She didn't expect a response. Maybe she'd never get one. But she'd said what needed to be said. The rest was up to him. Victoria set down her phone and closed her eyes. She thought about Thomas, about what he'd think if he could see her now. She liked to imagine he'd be proud, not of the business success or the comeback or the reviews, but of this, of her finally learning to live instead of just work, of her opening her heart to people who needed her and who she needed back, of her choosing love. I miss you, Victoria whispered to the empty room. But I'm okay now. I'm really okay. And for the first time since the accident, since Thomas's death, since the 5 years of lonely, painful survival, that was true. She was okay, better than okay. She was happy. 1 year later, on Christmas Eve, the Ashford was packed, every table full, every seat taken. The atmosphere buzzing with warmth and joy, and the kind of energy that only comes when people are exactly where they want to be. Maya commanded the kitchen with confidence born of experience. Jerome worked beside her, the two of them a seamless team. The new staff, most of them graduates of the Thomas Ashford Scholarship Fund, moved with purpose and pride. In the dining room, Victoria sat at table 1. Not alone this time. Lily was there, 8 years old now, colouring a menu and chattering about school, Amanda and her children, James and his family, even a few board members who'd become genuine friends. And in the corner booth, a surprise Victoria hadn't expected, Richard. He'd called 2 weeks ago. Asked if he could come for Christmas. Apologised, really apologised, for what he'd done. Victoria had said yes, because that's what family did. They forgave. They tried again. They left the door open. Richard sat with his wife Diane, both of them looking uncomfortable but present. It would take time, years probably. But they were here. That was a start. At exactly 7 p.m., Maya came out of the kitchen carrying a special dish, Thomas's short ribs, now a permanent menu item and the restaurant's signature dish. She set it in the center of the table. "From our family to yours," Maya said. "Merry Christmas." Everyone dug in, passing plates and laughter between each other. Victoria stopped and looked around, from Lily to Maya to the full restaurant, and smiled. A warm, genuine smile, not the kind she had learned to display for business partners or to get out of uncomfortable situations. The kind of smile that came when you're surrounded by those that you love. For the first time since her husband died, Victoria was. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed Victoria, Lily and Maya's journey from heartbreak to healing, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more inspiring stories like this one. Drop a comment below and let us know what you thought. Did the story move you? What was your favorite moment? We love hearing from you. Remember, every story of second chances, perseverance, and unconditional love reminds us that it's never too late to find where we belong. We'll see you in the next video with another incredible tale. Until then, take care, and never stop believing in the power of family.